We are at 10 on the crypto fear and greed index. We're at such a low point here, like we haven't been at any time in this entire cycle. And that's pretty crazy. And I'm thinking, guys, are you kidding me? We are at $80,000 for Bitcoin and are so scared. We've seen the Corona crash, guys. We had a Terra Luna collapse where over $40 billion was washed out of the market in a single day. We had the FTX collapse of the second largest exchange in the world. Completely collapsed, and we recently had the case where $1.5 billion was flushed out of the market and the whole thing survived, and yet we are still standing here in complete fear. Quite honestly. Friends, do a little research, see where we are at the moment, and think the whole thing over again. Because in my eyes, this is extremely noticeable. We dropped again last night with Bitcoin, but think about why it happened last night. It's because it's much easier for market makers to influence things then. We have much less liquidity at night. The market makers know what they're doing. At night, you can influence the game much more easily. And take a look at this. Dropped here at night. Held during the day. Dropped at night. Held during the day. Dropped at night. The market makers liquidate us every night because they know exactly they can only do it at night. At night, we have much less liquidity, much less volume. You can do that there. That's why, in my eyes, what's going on here right now is very, very striking. It's a pure market maker game. And that's why, honestly, I wouldn't worry too much. First of all, if you look at it, we have a lot more people who are currently short than long. And it's so out of balance again that I'm already expecting we might see a complete drop here, and then we could quickly rise again when all these shorts get liquidated. Also, what's extremely important with Bitcoin is that we've filled the CME gap. It's very, very important that there's a resistance line that is extremely significant. We dipped in there last night. And that's actually very positive. It's possible that from here we might see the next jump upwards. And that was it for now, because the CME gap has often signaled the bottom for us in the past. Because why are we where we are right now? Because the current market phase is just quite uncertain. Just because Donald Trump has now announced more tariffs against the EU, that alone puts us in an uncertain time, and above all, strengthens the dollar. That has made the dollar stronger again, and we need a reasonable bull run here. A weak dollar, that means these are things that need to be sorted out first. But look at the big picture. Gary Gensler, who has thrown obstacles in our way every time, is out of office. The regulation SAB 121 has been revoked by the SEC, and that makes it easier for institutions to hold, buy, and sell Bitcoin, and they can record all of this much better in their balance sheets. The new SEC has launched a crypto task force and is extremely pro-crypto. The SEC has dropped the case against Coinbase and Robinhood. So in this regard, all these exchanges and banks don't have to hide anymore. They can now partially collaborate with the governments. Back then, every exchange was just afraid of being sued by the SEC. That's slow history. We now have 19 states in the USA that have voted for a Bitcoin state reserve, and that makes it increasingly likely. The CEO of Bank of America said they will implement crypto payments if a reasonable regulation is established here. And that's huge because Bank of America is really massive. Donald Trump's company holds cryptocurrencies itself. Cynthia Lummis, the US Senator, is pro-crypto herself. Senator Haggerty is presenting a new law to regulate stablecoins. And thus, it is also becoming increasingly likely that we might be able to pay using stablecoins in certain countries in the future. Because, you all know very well that Bitcoin is sometimes too expensive for transactions, but it looks like they're trying to use more and more stablecoins for everyday payments. In my opinion, that would definitely make sense. At least it's more sensible than using Bitcoin in some way. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the USA, holds cryptocurrencies himself. Donald Trump has already signed a plan for a US sovereign fund. And this sovereign fund includes things like cryptocurrencies. So, you see a lot of things that have happened. And we are actually in a sentiment where we have extremely positive things happening. And it just looks like everything is slowly being prepared to keep pushing the crypto market forward. We've never been in such a positive position before. And the only thing that has thrown a wrench in our plans here is this whole situation with Donald Trump, that he has strengthened the dollar for now. That's basically negative for the crypto market, and that we haven't seen any expansion of liquidity lately. I think both of those things are changing now. We've seen a really big surge in global liquidity again. Since January, things have been shifting a bit. That means we're getting global liquidity again, which is extremely important for the crypto markets, especially for the altcoins. And about that, the US dollar is currently very, very strong. But I'm sure Donald Trump is doing this with the US dollar just so he can secure better new deals here. Even with the EU, once he has done that, he will continue to weaken the dollar because Donald Trump wants a weak dollar himself. This way, you can trade better with the dollar, export better. That's why Donald Trump is also focused on weakening the US dollar in the long term. Currently, that's not the case yet, but at least we see that the money expansion is happening, and we can feel that in the markets, it's usually about 2 months apart. That means around March, we should start to notice that we're really getting fresh capital back into the markets. And just to give you an example, this here is the Binance hardware wallet regarding the Solana holdings. We've seen at Binance, they've been doing this for months, selling off Solana piece by piece. They have now also worked with Wintermute as a market maker, which is why Solana has corrected so aggressively. I mean, $140, it's pretty crazy how much we've corrected here for Solana. Binance has been doing this all along, but since yesterday, we see that Binance is gradually buying back all the Solana. And what has Binance achieved with this? They effectively ensured that Solana reached a new low so that they could ultimately buy more Solana at a cheaper price. And there's a good reason why Binance is doing this. Binance, they are the smartest players in the market. You can hold whatever you want from Binance. That's not a cool thing. But look at what they're doing, because what they're doing it thoughtfully. And this will become very clear again, especially because Binance is now aggressively buying back Solana. Even though they've been selling Solana for months, it's sometimes so easy to see through the game when you really want to. If we take a look at this now, this correction in Bitcoin was about 28%. And that's quite significant. And when we compare this with the past, the picture becomes clear. We had here every time corrections of about 30%. Here 32%. Here also a correction of 26%. And here again 20%. And every time we still reach new all-time highs. So don't make yourselves look foolish, friends. What we're currently seeing is part of the market. We need corrections, and we just keep having longer stagnation phases in correlation with corrections. But because certain zones have held, we are also here with Bitcoin and in the crypto market, still in a bullish uptrend. And that's important. If certain zones don't hold here, then it could get critical. Yes, but we haven't reached that point yet, and that's why the sentiment is still bullish, even though we've been correcting for weeks now. Look at the important events that are bringing fresh capital back into the markets. And look at what has actually been set in motion in the last few months to push the crypto market even further. Look at what the big players are doing and how they're doing it. Like Binance, they know exactly what they're doing. And what they're doing damn well. It's really tough what they've done to us, how they coldly pushed us down. They coldly pushed the crypto market down. But in the end, they're doing this so they can pull even more money out of the markets, so that in the end of the cycle, you can hold even more Solana. And at this point, there's really not much more to say. I hope you all enjoyed this again. Thank you much for watching. See you next time, friends.